Special, you mean so much to me. I'll tell the world how much I love you, and heaven knows I'll place no one above you, baby. You keep me smiling, and baby, I'm so satisfied. I'm so satisfied. Baby, keep me smiling. Oh, baby, I'm so satisfied. I'm so satisfied. When I'm down and lonely, you brighten up my day. There, hard times, and I just let you get away. No, 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 no. When I'm troubled, I call you. You chase my blues away. You chase my blues away. I wanna give you the same feeling. 'Cause everyone should feel this way. Wake up with a smile every day. Baby, I'm so satisfied. I'm so satisfied. You keep me smiling. Baby, I'm so satisfied. I'm so sad. I'm so satisfied. If it's love that you want, I'm gonna be the one satisfied, baby. You make me so happy. Smile for you. I'm so smile for a little while, child. Smile for me. Oh, you got me going, baby. Got me going. Satisfied. You got me smiling, baby. You got me smiling, baby. I'm gonna smile for a little while, baby. I'm smiling, baby. Feels so good. It's overjoyed. Feels real good. It's smiling, baby. Oh, feels so good inside, baby. You smiling. Satisfy me. I'm so satisfied you. I'm so satisfied.
Hey. All right. I just wanted to come on here briefly, and share this video, which is enlightening. It's about the slave trade in Nigeria, right? And it's someone else's video, so I hope they don't strike me. But just a part of history that we as African Americans like to ignore. First of all, if you can hear me well, hit that number 1 for me, y'all. Hit that number 1 so I can know I'm heard and seen. Well, what's up, Sheba Moon Coat? Excuse me, Sheba Moon Cat. How you doing, sis? Mondo Ray Moore. Sonny Ingram. He said, nice Ghana video today. Yeah. Asata. What's up, Mike? Well, thank you for hitting that number one. Right. So the reason why I wanted to play this video is a little brief 14-minute video. Is because when I went to Ghana, the Ghanaian scholars told me the same thing that they're saying in this video. That slavery was going on in Ghana 1,000 years before the white man touched the shore. And they called it was just indigenous slavery in Ghana, right? So when I went to Ghana, I bought this book written by this PhD lady who teaches at the University of Ghana, right? Akosua, how do you pronounce her name? Akosua Odama Purby. She wrote this book, The Indigenous Slavery in Ghana, and she tells and teaches that slavery was going on in Ghana before the white man touched the shores. And I bought this book when I was at the slave dungeon. Now, let me share my screen and show me when I was at the slave dungeon. All right, hold on. Let me see if that pops up. Yeah, it popped up. So that's me at the slave dungeon in Ghana, right? And as you see the cannons, and they had these big old iron balls, cannonballs that were stacked up on the opposite side of the cannons you see here, right? And I had asked why they had the cannons or who they shooting at. So they were shooting cannons, and they had little mini wars with other European nations that would try to come to the coast. So one European nation would shoot cannons at another European nation that was coming to their shore for business or what have you, right? And people always ask me, Chief X, where's proof of the slave ships? Where's proof of the slave ships? And I did a whole video on proof of the slave ships, right? But we'll get back to that, right? So when let me do this real quick. So when I bought this book in Ghana and I talked about my trip to Ghana and I talked about the information in this book, I told a lot of the African Americans that Ghanaian scholars teach differently than African American scholars. They have no problem telling the truth and what actually went down in the slave trade in Ghana. And as you'll soon see, Nigerian scholars also tell the truth, and they tell a different story than African American scholars. Now, we'll understand why, because African American scholars here in America have been harmed by the transatlantic slave trade, and we were the last. So everyone practiced slavery, whether they were African peoples, Arab peoples, or white folk, Europeans. Everybody throughout history participated in slavery, whether they were enslaving their own, whites enslaved their own, Arabs, whether they were enslaving their own or others. It was a thing that just happened all over the world in ancient times. It's just the reality that people really just don't like to hear. But people get into, well, the transatlantic slave trade was worse. It was worse, and they didn't. Okay, I'll give you that. The transatlantic slave trade was worse. But slavery is slavery and it's all wrong, in my opinion. Doesn't matter whose is worse than the others. Slavery is slavery, and it's all wrong. Okay? So throughout this book is detailed about indigenous slavery in Ghana. Now, I made this video talking about slavery in Nigeria, and I wanted people to hear the Nigerian explain slavery as he knows from his traditional oral stories from his grandparents. And let's listen. And once we get to the 7-minute mark, I'm going to pause it. Okay? So let's go. Let me see if this pops up on my other device. Okay. So we're just going to go through this video and listen and learn.
Guys, this is heavy, man. And this is what they wear on their neck.
Yeah.
All true. Yes. When I was younger, I used to hear stories about how foreign ships used to come down to the coast of Nigeria and take a lot of us away as slaves, like in millions, to go and work for them overseas under very inhumane conditions. Off the coast of Lagos is a place called Badagry, and this place holds a significant history in the slave trade. So I want you guys to come along with me, and let's see what happens in Badagry. I have long legs. Badagry is a place where many slaves were kept, and it's also a place that tells the story of how the slave trade started. It was one of the major routes for the transatlantic slave trade. I don't really know a lot about the slave trade, so I decided to go down here and meet up with somebody whose grandparents were alive during the era of the slave trade to tell me the story about how slave trade started in Nigeria. How far now? How are you doing? Yeah.
The compound that we are is known as Brazilian barracoon. And barracoon is a Portuguese word meaning slave cell or storehouse where the slave will have been stored. And the compound right now, we have to talk about 40 rooms in this compound.
Okay, so this is where they kept slaves?
Yes, in the olden days. And that is say each room contains 40 slaves. So this is called cowrie shell. As you see.
Okay.
So those are the kind of currency our forefathers used then.
Yeah, this is what they used to use
Yes.
as means of exchange.
Yeah, but when they came, them say they can do business with our father with this kind of money. Right on the wall, these were some of the European products that were used in exchange for the slave when they arrived. Like if the European give you one umbrella,
Yeah.
you give them 40 human beings as a slave.
Okay. So is this one of the rooms that...
Now, pause. He was talking about things that they traded and that were given for slaves. He said that one umbrella, and they were given 40 slaves. So they traded with Nigerian chiefs, and the Nigerian chiefs was okay with it.
Yeah, this is
40 people?
Yes, yeah.
40 people?
40, yeah.
Inside here?
Yeah, and we have 40 rooms in the compound.
Wow.
This one is called Convlingo. They use it to join two slaves together. They put this at the ankle or the
Also to join two slaves together by the legs.
Now look at that small window type. Can you see that small window there?
Yeah.
And that's what we provided the ventilation. Imagine 40 able human beings in there for 3 to 4 months.
40 human beings inside here.
Imagine the odor, the heat. Imagine how many human beings because they would have died here. That is why people come.
Now, in Nigeria, he says they were in these rooms for a couple months, just waiting to be taken to the Americas, Brazil, or what have you. Okay. Now, when I was in Ghana, in the slave dungeons, when I made my tour in Ghana in the slave dungeons, they said that the only reason that they were in those dungeons as long was because sometimes a slave ship didn't arrive. So say, for instance, the slave ship arrives every other day. Okay, then those people leave the dungeon or these rooms every other day. Now, something may happen where a slave ship may not come for a couple weeks or a month, and they've captured slaves and put them in this room or in Ghana, the slave dungeons in Ghana, and a slave ship didn't come around for a month. Something may have happened, a ship got lost or shipwrecked, or in any reason where a slave ship didn't show up, then the people or the slaves remained in the dungeon or in Nigeria in rooms like this for a month. Now, that wasn't normal protocol, according to the scholars in Nigeria, but it happened. So they kept them in these slave dungeons in Ghana or rooms like this in Nigeria for longer than was necessary or they wanted them to be in. So as you know, the slaves were property. So a slave would be worth money. So they weren't attempting to ruin the slaves, things happen. Now, let's just continue.
Comes there, tell them you are not here to cash fund, but just to feel the pain the people of the past have felt. And those are the items that are showing on the wall. Each go for 10 cents. These are 50 human beings. Look at your back there. This bottle, if you look closely at the body, you see 373. They customized on the body.
Yeah,
That's a 10 human being standing. So,
guys, can you imagine the conditions that the slaves had to live in? 40 people in a room that is not even enough for one person. 40 people had to stay inside that room. I can't even begin to imagine how most of them would have felt.
So these are the canon.
Okay.
100, that's 200 slaves.
For this canons,
You can't give you the long one, give them 100 human beings, another 100. That's
wow. These are the chains they use for the slaves.
That's why I say you can see how
wish. Let me try it.
Okay. So just tell them how you feel.
Wow, this is heavy, man. Fuck, this is heavy. Ouch. It's even drawing my neck. Guys, this is heavy, man. And this is what they wear on their neck. All true?
Yes. It should be in a single file. Straight from this, another neck. It could have been like 100 of them.
Wow, man, guys, this is very heavy. And they wear this all day, every time.
Yeah, while they're taking them away.
And it's even, this thing at the back is so not comfortable.
Yeah. And that's their drinking pot here.
Oh, this is where they drink from.
They don't allow them to use cup, but they tie the hand at the back. They do water use.
Stay with me for a few minutes until he explains this.
Wow. So everybody goes.
Yeah, imagine why the water gets below, why struggling, the head can see injure the slave.
Wow. Just putting the chain on my neck, those chains were so heavy and it was hurting my neck, as you can see in the video. And these people had to go through all of this and they had no choice. Separated from their family, separated from everybody that they knew and sold. So you can imagine how these people were treated. So now we're going to the point of no return. And for us to do that, we have to cross over this lagoon here and get to the other side. That's where we see the point of no return. Point of no return is a point where once slaves get to, they can't come back anymore.
You know, Badagry was founded around 1425.
Okay.
By a man called Agbede.
Agbede. Okay.
Yeah. And Agbede means blacks meat in Yorubas. The slave ship, which is called cargo ship, will be awaiting the slave.
Now he said the slave ship, which are basically cargo ships, is what he says. So when people ask for all the slave ships, they don't understand that a lot of them were just cargo ships. A lot of them are remodeled and changed up, and they have a like Carfax. It has a title. You can trace all the owners of the slave ship, like you can trace all the owners of a car you buy today.
On the other side.
At the other side of the
That's at the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. They will come in, get to the town, get the number of slaves that they want.
Okay.
After getting the slaves, they will now walk them in a single file.
Down to the beach.
They'll be in a straight road.
Wow.
And that heavy chain will be on their necks.
You know, most times when they talk about the slave trade, it's always looking like, okay, it's just only the Europeans that were selling slaves. But it kind of seems like we Nigerians were also selling ourselves as slaves.
Very, very correct. Like me, that I'm standing with you.
Yeah.
So listen to what he's saying. They're letting you know that Nigerians were selling slaves to them. Like when I was in Ghana, let's just continue real quick.
Fathers, we are not slave traders, but we own slaves.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
You understand? How we own our slave? If you have the money, then
you can
move down to the market.
He was saying his grandfather owned slaves. They also went down to the market where whites were buying slaves, and they bought them also. Nice. So Nigerians, chiefs, and people with money in Nigeria was right around here in these auctions buying slaves along with the white men.
Okay.
People hate to hear this truth, but it's just the truth. And I just like to put the truth out there.
Yeah.
And buy your slaves. In
Okay.
the market, you buy slaves.
Wow. So they used to sell slaves like food,
Something
like
that.
going to Mr.
You
Biggs.
see, this is what really happened. It's of two sides of it.
Okay.
In some
He said this is what really happened. It's two sides of it. So just listen.
really happened. It's of two sides of it.
Okay.
In some part of Congo, even part of Nigeria,
Yeah.
there's some places that they invaded
Okay.
and they took the people away forcefully as a slave.
Okay.
But in some part of it, there's some part whereby the Africans, locals or the chiefs, the warrior, they are also their facilitator. They sell their own people. Because when they came, okay, they we fought war then.
Okay.
Man you want to dominate your domain, your kingdom.
Okay.
You understand? That ego is within us. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So, like now, if your village and my village had a fight,
Yeah.
eventually, if you want the fight, you take the people away as a slave to your own town.
To your own town,
And
just
they'll
like
be working here, you understand?
just like they do in war. and,
War,
you know,
the victim of war, you
yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So they'll be working for you.
Yeah.
But when European
So what he said, if you guys didn't hear clear, is that a lot of tribes warred with each other. Like, people think it wasn't no big unity thing like people always think. So a lot of tribes had war with each other. And they had captives of war. A lot of those captives of war became slaves. A lot of women and children were kidnapped during these tribal wars, even before the white men. A lot of young girls were made concubines. And these people grew up in slavery, and then they had children, and their children grew up in slavery, or what you may call indentured servitude. But they had low positions in the family, in the tribe, and they did hard labor. Like a lot of the gold that was mined on the Gold Coast and in Ghana. Who do you think mined the gold that they sold to Europeans? Indigenous slaves that they had prior to the white man. Mined them golds, got that gold together. Okay, let's continue.
they met the trade on ground.
Oh, they made the slave trade. So the slave trade
Yes.
was already happening when they
Before
came.
they arrived, yeah.
Wow.
So they met the trade on ground.
Okay.
Sonny Ingram makes the comment: African Americans who have not been home won't ever tell that side because they can't. Yeah, you know what I mean? So like, I was confused that when I went to Ghana, how they freely tell these true stories. But here they don't do that. They like want to hide it and just want to totally point the finger at one person when it was a collaborative effort, when slavery was going on for thousands of years before white men. Now, it may have been a different type of slavery. Some people say indentured servitude, but slavery, in my opinion. Okay. So we just have to be real about this stuff.
Okay.
We've been enslaving ourselves before they arrive Africa. We betrayed ourselves, which is still happening up to date.
Up to today, yeah. That's where I'm going to with this. Yeah.
So if you check record, go and check record or quote me.
Yeah.
Most of the slave facilitators, their children were the ones still ruling Africa up to date. Yeah. So you see the same system going on up till date. The blames are on both sides. The European and the African. Facilitators. You understand?
Yeah.
As a child, when I was growing up, the story my own forefather, my grandfather, my father used to.
So like as you see in the comments, Brother Ray said, so we're getting YouTube scholarship. Well, Brother Ray, if you don't know, I was showing you the book. So you probably missed it. I was showing you this book I have by Ghanaian scholars and a scholar who works at the University of Ghana. They teach this. Ghana and Nigeria didn't have a written history where someone can show you a bunch of written records from Ghanaians and Nigerians. They didn't have a written record. They have oral tradition. And a lot of these stories have been passed down from oral tradition. So I told you people don't like to hear this. That's why Ray makes these comments to knock this presentation I'm doing. So he doesn't want to hear this truth. So he has to belittle it.
To tell me then about whom we are on the surface of earth, I realize that we are very, very powerful. We can disappear. You can tell the gun to open, it will open.
That's Africans, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How comes the European comes around and force
us to do what we want to do, yeah?
Later, I now realize that we sold
ourselves
into slavery. They know that we are very, very...
Let her repeat this again.
We sold
ourselves
into slavery. They know that we are very, very powerful. They know who we are. You understand?
But it seems we don't know we are. We don't know the power that we have.
We know that we are very powerful. Out of 12 disciples, there always be
Judas.
You understand? Somebody must betray one person. You understand? Slave spirit add to a nation.
Well.
Let's say the water. To buttress. Now, who dug this well? That's the question. This well was dug by the African chiefs.
Wait a minute. Listen to him again. Who dug this well and built it?
Well was dug by the African chiefs. Why do they have well was dug by the African chiefs? Why do they have to dug the well? Good. Now, the movement of Africans to America through that it's known as Middle Passage. They call it Middle Passage. And the name of the slave ship is called cargo ship.
Ray, this is just a YouTube. I'm going live on YouTube. I'm not sure. This is not a class or college where you're going to get some dissertation and thesis. All you got to do is just use your logic and common sense. If you didn't know this, then I'm your teacher today.
Which could take like 600, 700. You know, it was the Portuguese that started the trade.
Yeah.
Most of the slaves moved from Africa then. They student to Lisbon.
Okay.
Lisbon is a very big slave market in Portugal then.
Yeah.
Where everybody get their slave. Then later, along that, the English joined. And the name of the first slave ship is being Jesus of Lubeck, or Good Ship Jesus, owned by King Henry VIII of England then. But later, Queen Elizabeth rented it out to one of the slave party called John Hawkins. And they started taking Africans away as a slave to work for them. And most of the town in America, even though the White House underground was built by black people. Now, on the slave ship, we could have like 600, 700, 300, 200. It depends the size of the slave ship. And the crew that were taking the slave away, they are no more than probably 25 to 30 people. They were taking like 600 or 300 slaves away. So most often, while taking it away, if the slaves spotted the land and it's aggravated them, you understand, or they had any opportunity, they'll kill all the crew on board. They will not add the sailor to sail down to any available land. They will not occupy. The only person they will not kill them is the sailor. They will ask the sailor to sail back to any available. I think that's what happened in Guadeloupe and some part, most of the Caribbeans.
Okay. Haiti, all these places, yeah.
So now the African chiefs came up with the idea. What can they do so that the slave will be less aggressive? That's what.
Did you hear him? He said the African chiefs came up with an idea. Listen.
Came up with the idea. What can they do? Most of the Caribbeans.
Okay. Haiti, all these places, yeah.
So now the African chiefs came up with the idea. What can they do so that the slave will be less aggressive? That's where they have to do it.
So what he's saying is the chiefs came up with an idea. What can we do for the slave not to be as aggressive? So they were telling them that this water would help them lose their memory for 4 months, and they'll be okay when they get to their destination.
Once the slave walk in a single file without heavy chain, the stopover will be here. They'll give them the water to drink. When they consume the water, we are told that they will lose their memory.
Wow, it will wipe their memory?
It's not for life, for 3 to 4 months. It will weaken them. Not really that it will wipe their memory. Why are they taking them again? Why, you know, they can't.
True, they can't do anything. Wow.
So it will weaken them for 3 to 4 months. by then they will have sailed down to Europe or America. They will now regain their
Yeah,
strength or memories back.
Wow.
So government call it slave attention, some call it memory loss. But ironically, some say the water is still effective. Some say it's not effective.
So if I drink this water now, I'll forget my memory for the next 4 months.
So 4 months to 3-4 months. But some say the power is still there. Some say it's still effective. Some say it's not effective. But we don't know how to do this because we never see a single source. Okay, let me
try it.
And see that go. Although sometimes you see some tourists say they will take it, but when we get here, you know that the water is dirty. It's corrugated.
Yeah.
So that's the way. They after giving the water, they will now move them to the point of no
return. But this well was done by Africans.
Chiefs, yeah.
The chiefs.
Yeah. Even on Benin.
They also have one too. Okay.
Their own in Wida, their own is a tree. Like this. We call it tree of memory loss. The women will go around the tree 7 times, the men 9 times, and we are told that they will lose their memory.
Wow. This is the point of no return that I was telling you guys about. By the time the slaves get here, this is where they board the ships that take them all the way to Europe and all those other countries where they have been sold.
The monument that used to be here,
yeah,
is this 2 straight foot here.
This one, yeah.
There used to be an object on top there.
Okay.
The object symbolizes human being, and there's a chip that we call it Ark of Departure.
Ark of Departure.
So when they move, then they pass under the Ark of Departure. This is the bottom of the slave ship.
Yeah.
One slave head here. The next one that we follow
is on the head, the leg, leg head, yeah.
The reason that they don't want the bits of communication within there.
Oh, wow.
So another deck. The state government came up with beautiful idea. I used to call it beautiful idea.
Okay.
That they should build another monument in conjunction with the Ark of the Departure, and that's why they have to control this tunnel. Now, when tourists comes here, you go in. Probably there's going to be some artwork, pictures
inside. Yeah.
You go in as if you are going to Europe or America.
Yeah.
You come back to Africa.
Oh, that's how it goes.
Door of return. No more point of no
return.
But this project that you're seeing here is getting more than probably getting to 10 years now.
10 years.
So we don't know where they're going to
complete it. It's very troubling to listen to and see all of the things people have been through. And when you get to this place, it's not being preserved. This part of Nigeria's history is not being preserved as it should be. The memory loss well that the African chiefs built is also not being preserved. The monument at the point of no return is practically falling apart. It has been under construction for over 10 years. That's a very long time. I believe that history plays a very important role in the development of a country. If you don't know where you're coming from, how do you know where you're going? If you make mistakes and you don't learn from them, how do we know how to move forward into the future? How do we know how to build the future if we're not keeping records of all the things that have happened in the past? I believe that within a couple years, if these places are not being preserved properly, we would have no history. One of the reasons I'm doing this video is to shine a light on the story of the slave trade in Nigeria. Secondly, is to showcase Badagry as one of the most important parts in Nigeria's slave history. I believe Badagry should be preserved.
All right. So that was just a little brief information about Nigerian slave trade. Now, if someone is asking for the scholarship, I was just providing a book for you about indigenous slavery in Ghana. If you want to learn about it, you can buy the book. I've read it completely. Now, you see how I outline things, and you know what I mean? You see? Did they say, once slavery continued? Like, I wrote this, let me see. I wrote this right here, once slavery continued, because the Brits in Ghana, the British in Ghana, abolished slavery. And guess who didn't want it abolished? The African chiefs. They wanted to continue slavery in Ghana. The African chiefs wanted the slave trade in Ghana to continue because they were making money. They were getting paid. They were benefiting. So every time I bring this book up, when I bring up this little brief documentary I shown and other ones, people get mad. But all I'm saying is that the Ghanaian and Nigerian scholars teach the slave trade differently than African Americans do. They're a little more honest about the totality of the slave trade and how it went down. It's just what it is. You can go to Ghana, go to the slave dungeon, and they'll be selling these books right outside the slave dungeon. That's exactly where I bought this book. And this lady went around collecting oral tradition stories from all kind of tribe members, all kind of chiefs, all the elders in all the different tribes all around Ghana. I mean, these stories are prevalent. It's just African Americans don't like the stories. They don't like this reality. You understand what I'm saying? So if you came to this late and you're just now seeing this, rewind it to the beginning, or save your breath until you can watch this video from the beginning, so you can get a better understanding. Would you say Asante Akibalan makes perfect sense? Actually, to this day, most Black people don't know who they are or where they are going. The well water was too strong, right? So they were even teaching in Ghana, because I went to 5 different museums, and they said most of those slave traders, European slave traders, did not go inland and all up in the bush. The Africans were the ones inland, bringing them down to the shore to sell. So people have this idea that whites was just running all off inland in town and just nope. They were scared as hell. Just like you would be scared to go inland into the bush of an area you're not familiar with. So they had people who were familiar with the area and who lived in the area bring these slaves down to the Europeans. Slavery is wrong. The Europeans was wrong for it, and the Africans was wrong for it. But we just have to start telling this story like it really was. Slavery is not a good thing. Stealing and raiding tribes, as they were doing in West Africa, snatching up girls, using them for concubines, is not a good thing. There's wickedness everywhere around the globe in the universe. There's bad people in Africa, there's bad people in the Americas, there's bad people in Europe, there's bad people in Australia. Bad people do bad shit. So people were asking what a slave ship. So back in 2018, I put this presentation together. It said proof of slave ships. Right?
Now, I've always known there were slave ships and things like that because I was in the Navy. My answer was just, they transform them, like remodel them and use it for different uses, because nobody is going to just throw away no ship. Ships are worth money. It's like buying a car. Why would you throw it away? They trade them and sell them just like anything else. Reuse them, remodel.
So I'm not going to play this whole video.
Because when I was in the Navy, see, I got living experience when I was in the Navy. That's what we were doing when we was in docks. When we're not at sea, the ship is in docks and stuff, getting work.
So I'm not going to play this whole video, but I was just letting people know in 2018, I did a presentation on the slave ships because everybody was asking, I don't believe it, where are all the slave ships? So people didn't know they have a list of all these slave ships in alphabetical order. Tell you who used to own it, what it was used for, and all that. So you guys can look that up your damn self if you're interested.
Worked on it, other ships around. They're remodeling and, welding and doing all kind of shit. Welding, you seeing sparks flying everywhere.
So like there were cargo ships that were used. So like when I was in the Navy and I was in a shipyard, when we docked in the shipyard after we came from being overseas, they work on the ships. So there's all kind of ships all around the Long Beach Naval Shipyard. Cargo ships, and they remodeling, they changing shit. So that's why you can't recognize a slave ship today. All that shit's been changed. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I just wanted to make this brief little video and share some of that stuff. And people kind of need to get over it, right? Um, um, people just done some fucked up shit over history, whether they were white, black, or Arab. Humans are humans, and we all humans do fucked up shit. So people can be mad for the rest of their lives and things like that, but once you get a little wiser, you'll begin to have a different understanding of things and how in the world and how things went down. And of course, we were the last, so we feel it the most. We have recent afflictions, that we still feel, that we're still afflicted with. So people forget about other nations. So I just wanted to share and do this brief video because it was just on my mind. I just wanted to get it out the way. Who got some questions? What's happening, Fabian JF? Goshen Music Group, what you say, Chief X is right. I'm right, but people just hate to hear it, so they get mad at me for telling it. The truth bearer is always prosecuted. How y'all like my background? You see, Chief X, I got the little lights up on the on my thing. Beware of pickpockets and loose women. The other one you can't see real good. It's an old school 10 advertisement for Ali Frazier fight. But I think that's kind of fly, don't y'all? Yeah, Sata Al-Kibala said, well, that explains a lot. Yeah, like can you imagine, like, my understanding is that they didn't go inland just grabbing slaves and bulldozing over people. They made a pact. And in fact, those slave dungeons in Ghana, guess who built them? We come from a slave caste in Ghana. It's what it is. That slave caste in Ghana, the chiefs in Ghana had them slaves, and all these people get together and build the slave dungeons in Ghana. It was a collaboration of the Europeans and Africans who built them slave dungeons, and they conducted business. My understanding from reading a lot of this information by this Ghanaian scholar is that when the Portuguese first touched the land, they didn't come for slavery. They didn't come for slaves. They came to trade and do business. Many trips back and forth, they were trading and doing business. And then one time they just said, you know what, shit. Damn, y'all enslaving your own people. Y'all got indentured servitude going on. Y'all got, in this indigenous slavery they're witnessing. And the Ghanaians began to teach them some stuff. And then eventually sold them slaves because the Europeans was like, damn, y'all enslaving each other. We need some slaves for the new world. We're building up shit in our country, and we're building up shit soon in the new world. And they conducted business and traded slaves, and that's how it all went down. But initially, they didn't just come looking for slaves. They were traveling. They were exploring. And for years, they didn't even take a slave until they figured out, hey, we need slaves, and the slave trade went down. Would you say, Fabian, did anyone step up to your challenge? I'm not sure what challenge you mean, but I'm figuring you may mean the debate. But no, nobody stepped up. People like to talk shit from the comfortability of their room, and they're scared of real challenges, especially by Chief X. I don't come to play no games. Yep. Also, yes, the Amazigh Moors introduced Black African slaves to Europe. Also, that is true. So, if you came in late, rewind this sucker, watch it again, share it around. Feel free to share it. But I was looking for some questions before I end this, but doesn't seem like anybody has any questions. I think the presentation was clear and understood. Greetings, Letitia Green. Look at my hat. West African is for the American. I'm representing West Africa. I'm African American. So I don't have a problem with the words African American, or I also use Black American more. People ask me, why you use Black American? Because Black is a description. No one considers themselves as an ethnicity or anything like that Black or nationality Black. Nobody does that. So a lot of Moors that confuse you. So I say Black American because I'm an American and most people listening to me is American. So we use Black American, or I use Black American. Black is used as a description only. White folk are Americans, so sometimes we say white as a description only. So like if someone shot up a school, first thing people gonna want to know, was he white or Black? They know he was American, but was he a white American or was he a Black American? So we say Black or white as a description only, and that's what it's used for. But I don't have a problem with Black American or African American. I'm both of those, right? I have distant heritage, or my distant bloodline is West Central African. So when I got my DNA test from 23andMe, it said 26% Nigerian and 25% Ghanaian, right? And I think I was 12% European DNA, 9% Central Africa, but the base of my DNA lies in West Africa. Yes, she does teach on population groups in Ghana, being aware of the structure of slavery in the America. Well, I just read the last part of your question. Being aware of the structure, aware of the structure of slavery in the Americas. Now, I don't believe that they were aware of the structure of slavery in America. They were just making money and selling them off. So I'm sure they had an idea that they may not be treated right in America, but I don't think they known the depths of the structure of slavery in America. Maybe they learned later as ships went back and forth and communication between the two. I don't know that story, but I would think, personally, I would think that once they done their deed and sold them off on the ships and they left the door of no return, I don't think they realized what was going to be happening in the Americas or how brutal it may be. Like one day I met this older lady on the bus. I was taking a bus and I met this older lady, right? So when I see older ladies and older men, I always try to snuggle up to them and have a conversation with them because I just like to talk, especially to old people. You guys should talk to old people a little more. So I asked this older lady, about her mother and her grandmother. And she began to tell me how her grandmother was a slave, right? And I started asking her, well, when you was a little girl on that little plantation and things, like, how did they treat you? How did they talk? She said, well, they treated me fine. You know, we did work and shit, but they treated us nice and they were kind. You know what I mean? So people have to understand, like, it's just say if for instance, 10 families, 10 plantations, right? Now, all the plantations may not treat every individual bad and ruthless, you know, but shit happens. You know what I mean? So she was explaining I guess that her grandmother's slave master was kind to her. So not everybody was just brutalized in American slavery, but it went down. Slavery was a horrible thing, and it should have never went down. She said Goshen music. They didn't know it was going to lead to Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, LeBron James, Jay-Z, and Steph Curry. Yeah, so like when I remember when I came back from Ghana, I was reading this book on the plane on the way back, and then when I got back, I just shared a little about it. And once I shared this, oh my God, people went nuts on me and went crazy. Chief, that's you tripping, you lying, you. This topic just pisses African Americans off because they only want to point the finger at one person, and that is the white man. They don't want to point the finger at anyone else. So that's why they get mad. So I understand where their mindset is. All right, y'all. So I'm out of here. About to watch me what's that, Power Book 2? I didn't see the finale yesterday. I'm about to watch that now. Pop me some edibles. This kind of edibles I'm popping. I had this bag was full. Them THC capsules. Right? So I got the THC capsules, I got, the gummies. But this is just my favorite. When I just want to swallow something, I take about 3 of these, 25 milligrams each. These are like vegan gel capsules full of THC. Pop about 3 of these, and then about 45 minutes, I'll be lit. Let me see if you can see them clearly. Yeah. So I sell these too. And guess what I sell them in? What that say? Can y'all see that good? Chiefs. THC 25 out of Cali. They're 25 milligrams each capsule. And I put about, let me see. Put about 20 in a bottle. Hit Pimping Up and let me know.